So she is a faculty of the CNS. At the same time, she works as project assistant in her bachelor's degree is in civil engineering. So it's different from what we expect. But her master's degree is in math education. She completed in the University of the Philippines. She also set up an organization that helps support deaf kids in their needs, and these kids are in the public schools. Her organization is Senyas Kabayan. So, help to welcome our guest researcher today, Ms. Hazel.
Good afternoon. Okay, I'm here to present my paper when I took my master at EM, and it's entitled Effects of an Animated Teaching Tool on Deaf Students' Comprehension of Full Languages. Before I proceed, here's an overview of what we'll be presenting to you. So in introduction, we'll be discussing the background of the study, thinking of the problem, events of the study, scope and limitation of the study, then review of literature and conceptual framework. And then next is methodology. So we'll discuss the research design, the sample, the instrument used, data collection procedure, and then data analysis procedure. And then we'll be presenting the data and analyze it, and then the findings, conclusions, and implications. To start off, here's the background of the study. So nowadays, it's been, all people are used to technology. It's been a part of our everyday living. Same with Smith. She said that it's part of our everyday world. And she added also that technological advances introduces a new avenue for learning in children. And it's also supported by Barton that it is viable and mandated. The technology be integrated to the education. So with that, even I'm not a SPED major, I'm math major in UP. Supposed to be my study, I should do that to the TV for regular kids. But still, I asked my advisor that I want to impart something or to contribute something to the education. Okay. So with that, technology, and there's a study that the multimedia representation and the retention has strong connection to one another. So with that, I chose the video. Because there's a study by Winfield. It does that televiewing is improve the performance of the children than just yung auditory. And then since I will do it with the kids, I choose yung animation. And then incorporate with the FSL. Because with this year, I think that was the time na approve yung FSL should be used in public school. So now the tool, that idea to make a tool teaching the math for the deaf kids, it's called the Animated Teaching Tool or AP. Okay, so the aim of this study is first, yes, to produce the APT, and then to investigate the effect of the instrument to the comprehension of full numbers among the grade 1 deaf student in the public school. And here are my research questions. So number 1, do the grade 1 deaf students exposed to APT have higher change in comprehension of full numbers than those exposed to the traditional teaching tool? And second, what are the students' reactions regarding the animated tool? And then last, what is a specific feature should be considered in designing animated tool in teaching grade 1 deaf students the full numbers? So the significance of this study is, one is to produce the animated tool. And then second is to determine the effect of the tool in the comprehension of full numbers for the grade 1 deaf students. And also to give insights on how deaf children can learn through animation. But with the study, there are limitations. So the study only focused on the comprehension of full numbers with 2 groups of grade 1 deaf students. And second, there's no assessment done for mental ability for each student. So it's just that the placement was just given by the public school. So wala akong choice na to put this kid in this group and in this group. So it's done here. And then all the topics are based on the basic education curriculum of the DepEd for grade 1 regular student for the first quarter, school year 2012-2013. Because there's no curriculum yet for the deaf. It was conducted in 2 public schools in Montalban or Rodriguez, Rizal. So the study runs from June to September 2013. Okay, here's some key literature of the study. So, so you can see, and there's a stair, so that is how the word hierarchy, which means applies to how and in what order children learn mathematics. So for you to learn the concept of comprehension of full numbers, you'll be needing the basic foundation of math. Those topics they learned during their preschool. And then, this one are for the grade 1 level already for the first quarter. Next, cardinal numbers. And after that, number, symbols, and number word. And then ordinal numbers up to 9. So there should be a sequence of understanding. Next. Yan. So we know already what will be taught, then who will be teaching. Okay. So as you can see, there are 9 intelligences. These are from Gardner. Okay, the multiple, before it's 8 lang. So, naging 9 na siya. Yes. Huwag na ako yung pinakabago. Actually, na-change din yung mga word nila. This one. From Worksheets. Okay, I forgot. Sorry. Good. Supported ko yan. Okay. So, from here, it says that the deaf, okay, deaf children are visual learner through the different studies. So, okay, so from briefs, it tells that the American Sign Language, it was developed not because deaf people can hear, but because they can see. Okay. And then from the World Federation of Deaf Policy Statement, it says, their eyes are their portal to the world of information and knowledge. And from a Filipino researcher, so Bustos, from her study, they said, Filipino deaf children's literacy behavior prove that they are more inclined to visual learning. Definitely visual learners. Okay, so with that, according to Lane, those person who has a strong visual spatial ability, so they're good, parang very receptive sila to a strategy of video. One of is the video. So that video, I chose yung video animation nga. So, why animation? First, I'll tell what is animation. Well, animation, yeah, it's not a drawing or act or creating images that are viewed, but it's arrangement of these images. Like, recently, I asked Rochelle to create it faster so that it made an illusion that the character is jumping. But if you will look at it, it's just a picture, static, it's not moving. But because it's series, so you create a motion. It seems it's moving. And then, why did animation? So here, so it gives greater freedom, have a control over the construction of the word. It's offer different representation of reality to create worlds that children can easily relate to. Then it creates an art of the impossible. So, which means you can do anything. Like a magic. And then here's the conceptual framework. So, through ADT, so it will determine, it will be an effect, what will be the effect of this tool teaching this comprehension of full number, particularly with these subtopics. So here are some terms that used in the study. So traditional teaching tools, those are the regular tools that public school teachers use. Chalkboard, cutout pictures, and sometimes real objects. Okay, comprehension of full numbers. So that will be the one need to be measured on this study. So yung understanding of the deaf children. And then animated teaching tool. This is in a video tool, animated video tool with the different topics of the comprehension of full numbers. While the improvement in comprehension is a positive change of the scores of the participant or the students from the pre-test to post-test. Okay, now it's the methodology. So the research design is coded quasi-experimental. So it's a quasi, which means the student is randomly running a group. Yun nga, yung researcher parang don't have a chance para to choose to put this kid in this group and this group. So it's random. So it's a two-group pre-test post-test design. So the two groups, the traditional group and the experimental group. And here's the design. Okay, so if there's a pre-test, okay, after they took the pre-test, okay, the experimental group had the treatment, which is the ATP. While the traditional group stays on the strategy of teaching the traditional teaching drill. And then again, they will have the post-test and to see what happened. Okay. And then the sample, our 17 labeled lab students, okay, from 9 from the San Jose school, which is in the experimental group, and 8 from the traditional group. Okay, and then their ages range from 6 to 20 years old. Level of deafness is from severe to profound. Okay. And here are the research instruments used in this study. And first, ATP, then comprehension of whole number test, then lesson plans and worksheets. For the ATP, okay, it was done in 2 phases. So these are the phase 1 and then the phase 2. So for the phase 1, there's the pre-production, production, and post-production. And the phase 2 is the validation of ATP. And I will discuss the phase 1. Okay, as you can see, I know it's too small, but these are only the script I made for each frame. I describe what will need to be happen on this, what will be the background, see what will be here, what the person will sign. So this is your first step, the script. Okay? Then I will give it to the animator. Yes. Siyempre, wala akong right to do that. That's only the script. So the animator do the storyboard. So for this one frame, minimum, I think 20 drawings. Yes. Yan siya. So from the script, so animator change it to a script. They call it storyboard. Okay. So together with that, they do the character designing. So these are the character up here on the video. And the main character is this one. I call him Decky. Deaf and white. Yeah, Decky. So I have an informal survey because I'm in the math. So yung mga panel ko and my advisor, really parang careful to give the name Decky, baka it might be offended daw for the deaf. So I did the informal survey asking the deaf, kids or old adult deaf, They say naman it's okay. So, I use that. He will be the math signer. Siya yung main character. So, again, these are the props used. The background. So, there are there are some lang. So, there are a lot of background. And then, here's the hand signs. And these are there's a, let's say, pool. I think parang currently and before, it's just only the hand. So, try to imagine how they do that. And then, so after doing that, so the production stage. So it is bringing the life to the drawing. So, okay. And then next, post-production is na finalization of the animation. So by putting subtitles, and let's see, subtitles, then music. So that one panel asked me why you need to put the music there. But still, I told them there are some still, the residual, diba? So they can stay here. And then after the animation, I thought it's just finished. So the animation will be exported and become a video. Doon pa lang siya magiging video. And then I learned, yeah, it's a long process. So the second phase is the validation of the APP. So here's the form that I use. There are 11 items. And here's your suggestion and comments of the 3 validators. One came from the special education. She's been teaching for more than 10 years. Grade 1 and 10. And then animation is from our animation department, Sir Chino, and an expert in the sign language. So after the validation, the suggestion and everything, it will incorporate. With that, the animator edit. So for 2 weeks, you do all the revision, then to finish yung final CD. So 17 topics. So they work it for 3 months. So one video is one animator. So I had 17 animators. And thank you for our animator, it's because of Mann-Whitney, who coordinated to Sir Benji, head of So there's a group of students, they need to have an OJT. So they were the ones. So it came that I'm the client. So yeah, honestly, even I realized the idea of having this kind of tool, I'm really overwhelmed. Kasi you need a lot of, the time is really, kasi 3 months. So even I have a lot of money to pay an animator, he cannot finish it by himself, the 17 videos. So, just so thankful lang with Ma'am Nikki, kay Sir Benji, and those students. Okay, if you see the sample, the topic is yung ordering sets from least to greatest. parang the story first. Yung presentation of yung lesson. Tapos there's the second part of it. Ito yung parang evaluation. There are for the student to answer. Right? Then it applies the parang magical effects. From an ordinary, like you just put some pictures. Now, you can see the object moving by themselves. So kids are very, oh, okay. So, and then yung last part of it is yung generalization na. Last part. Okay, this is the second instrument. So, researcher made test. It's 30 items, which is for the pre-test and the post-test. So, it's a multiple choice. So, again, it was validated by 3 SPED teachers, each for the deaf children for more than 10 years in the public school. Here. Next. And these are the lesson plans and worksheets. There's lesson, then part of it, there's worksheets and an additional for homework. So, there are 17 topics. And then again, it was validated by 3 teachers in the public school. Okay. For the data collection procedure, about the comprehension, yung test, it had a pilot test in Caloocan. Those outgoing grade 1. So it given to the outgoing grade 1 for that school year. Actually, that is 50 items. Kasi it's need to get the reliability coefficient, which is like what you said before, the contact and but it seems the studies limit to the curriculum of the DepEd. So it needs to be proportioned dun sa budget of work. So there are certain 20 will be delete. So that is the only possible coefficient that, but it is acceptable. Okay, and then the pre-test done June 14 for this one, the sample in the study. And then the post-test was September 10. And then the experiment runs again from June 28 to September 7. And the APT, based on the adjusted curriculum. You might ask what is adjusted curriculum. Like I mentioned recently that there's no curriculum for the deaf. They just follow the curriculum for the regular grade 1. So though they didn't follow all the topics, but it's the level of difficulties they adjusted for that. Example for the grade 1, yung counting numbers from 1 to 100. But for the deaf, they just do first 1 to 50. That's parang overwhelmed. For the experience of those teachers teaching in the public school, parang it's been overwhelming for the kids to learn up to 100. And then yan, 17 lesson plans and set of worksheets that used for the both groups. Every 32 session, so 1 hour per day. So it runs Monday to Friday. Then, yan, use Filipino Sign Language in teaching both groups. And then all the worksheets activities being recorded. Okay, and use the teaching process. So if you can see, so with this one, the animated teaching tool, and then this the traditional teaching tool. At first, it's just the same. You do the same. Teacher introduces the lesson to preparatory activity like song, poems, stories, and games. But when it will be the proper lesson here, yeah, the teacher used the animated teaching tool. Okay. While on the traditional, teacher used pictures, cutouts, and real objects. Then here, as you see the sample of the, it's still the animated teaching tool. Diba? Yung Math Signer's Deaf. To summarize the topic. Well, here, it's still the teacher. And after the lesson, still both groups use worksheets to assess yung student comprehension. So those topics are recognizing cardinal numbers, reading numbers. So the 4 subtopics on the comprehension. As you can see here lang, this part, yung bago, yung materials, yung teaching tool. Okay, so the data analysis procedure, pretests and post-test scores of the participant were tabulated and computed. Okay, and then Mann-Whitney Test was used. Okay, it's in the program of SPSS. Okay, to determine the difference between the groups, the significant in pretest mean scores, post-test mean scores, and then change scores. Changing scores. And then Wilcoxon, we use for if there's a difference between the pretest and post-test mean scores for both groups. So ito yung parsing net na significant 0.05. And then all statistical tests used were done yan through SPSF. It's a program. So, yan na mapukompute para sa inyo. Okay. Here's the data. For this one, this is the experimental group. As you can see, these are the pre-tests. Okay. And then the next column is the post-test. And comparing the two, there's an increase, right? See? And that is the change in their score. Same with this. So this is your 30 items test. Okay, and the next. Okay, the traditional, this is the pre-test, this is the post-test, and change in score. But if you notice, on the experimental group, their change in score is almost in 2 digits. While on the traditional, single digit. From there, yeah, for this. But you know, SPSS has, so for us, it's just how we observe the data. But using the SPSS,
using traditional
have all have the, but it's just only this one. Later I will give the, yeah, this the result is this one. Okay. So this is the SPSS, and you should know lang how to tell what the meaning of these numbers. So as you can see, getting the mean score of the three tests, when you compare, which is higher, the traditional, okay, higher, yung the start, di pa nagtuturo. So parang it tells that parang there's a prior knowledge, they know na something, compare with this one. Then, with this one, nag-post-test na sila. So, ginamit na yung ATP with the experimental group and the traditional, the usual strategy, the teacher. But you can see, parang relatively close. So, diba, at the end. But still, this is higher. Or it's not significant kasi hindi nagkakali yun. Unlike yung pre-test nila, it's higher, yung traditional compare. But it's not about to focus about it, but the change, the increase of their score from pre-test to post-test. So as you can see, in experimental, it has 12. While on the traditional, it just 6.5. So there's a large difference. So you can say that the ADP is effective. Okay, so but I have two more detailed. Okay, so this result is just comparing scores within the group, among the group. Right, comprehension of full numbers has these subtopics. For experimental, it's been it's set for 0.05. So there are three that their scores become significant. There are the difference of there's a significant change in recognizing, in ordinal, and in minor. Ito within, compare yung mga scores nila within the group. O yung mga scores nila within the group. While in the traditional, it's only the reading and writing numbers, symbols, and money. So as you can see, still in ETP, 3 topics has been improved compared with the traditional. Okay. And then the next one, ito na yun, full, between the groups. So compare the scores. So it so happened, it got significant only on this topic, recognizing cardinal numbers. So not on the so that is the quantitative, the first one. So parang that is the parang focus of my study. And then here are the student reactions to animated teaching tool. So student went from happy, having that ATP, but there are some, most of the students happy, but there are some have a reaction, some parang being quiet and sad if they don't know the answer, like that. And get mad if their classmate tease them, they don't know the answer also. And then even one student cried or feel frustrated. You know the evaluation, you 1 to 10. So teacher will pause to that and then ask the student what is the answer. And everyone is so happy. There are few lang if they can answer correctly. So, these are the pictures. Okay, those are for the observation. Me and my assistant and one deaf teacher. The deaf teacher just watched the video. That's so happy kasi nasira yung cellphone. So, but by looking the pictures, you can see. Ba? They're raising their hands. Yeah. This one, very okay. So it was been observed that they become more engaged and active. Those who are exposed to the ADT. Okay. And then here's the features of animated teaching tool that the validators highlighted. Colorful, magical effects. Our kids were so happy seeing objects flying by themselves. And then yung signing, very realistic and then very cartoon. Here's the summary of all the findings. So recently, I present yung numbers, but this is what it means. Okay, so students exposed to ADT, and it showed them the higher mean change in scores than the student exposed to traditional teaching tool. And then yung experimental group, yeah, it has a very significant difference in all topics except for the yung number, reading and writing number symbols. And then for the traditional, they're only two. They have a significant difference. So yung writing number in symbols and words and reading and writing manual. So between the group, it was found that the change in score was significant only in the topic recognizing cardinal numbers. And maybe because the study was limited in the curriculum of the DepEd. So we follow this. So there's a budget, parang may budget work. So there's a certain parang yung sessions for a certain topics. So maybe it's true that there are few sessions for other topics. So that's why the ADT is only effective on this topic. Okay, so participants exposed to the ADT were more attentive. These are the competitive, higher level of confidence, and very active. So these are on the anecdotal records of the three teachers. While the teachers, the ATT, as the validators, they highlighted the word colorfulness, magical effects, realistic signing, and being cartooning of the tool. So for that study, so yun yung features of the ADT. And for the conclusion, so recently I showed the research outcome. So these are the conclusion. So in show that the grade 1 deaf students exposed to APD have higher teaching score in comprehension of whole numbers than those exposed to traditional teaching method. And then what's the students' reactions? They have been very attentive, interactive, competitive, and then exposed to APD. And then the teachers, highlighted by the validators, are colorfulness, magical effects, realistic signing, and very, right. And then the implications. So more innovative means in teaching the deaf students, I guess for all the teachers. Like, I guess, Rochelle said, we must be 21st teacher, century teacher. And then, we need to consider then yung pagiging visual learning of deaf children. So, we might think of activities to get and still be through visual learning. And then, teachers should have more time to think and create then more additional activities to enhance and improve the mathematical skills of the deaf student. Word works, games. And then, I guess, yung bigger number of participants should be involved in the study for more comprehensive research. Because there's a few, baka there's might better result if it is a bigger sample. And then, further study to answer why the material is only effective in recognizing cardinal numbers, or how can the tool will improve. So I guess any references